What is it about both Billie Jean King's very public struggles and private conflicts that make them both equally inspiring and important, particularly at this time?
Well, I think there's something to be said for the idea that you can be going through a lot. You can not feel, because I have such a kind of perfectionist mentality where, like, if I don't have everything figured out, if I've ever made mistakes or done anything, then I can't use my voice, you know? You could say, well why are you doing this? Or there's all these kinds of things that I can be so hard on myself about. And it was so inspiring to see that she could be struggling, she could be learning who she was. She wasn't necessarily fully clear yet, but she's used her voice and her power and her clarity for so much change. And as she's navigated her life and the adversity that she's faced, she's just grown stronger and more outspoken and more loving, really. She's just such a loving human being. And that was really an inspiring thing to learn and to get to, in some ways, lean into a little bit. I hope to keep doing that for many years to come. Like a lot of steeping myself in her life and what those feelings, would be, or how, just anything I could do, basically. It's hard to even detail it. It was just like living in Billie Jean's mind, trying to.
And you really delve into like her backstory, her sexuality in particular. Do you think there are still taboos to be broken in that respect?
Absolutely. I mean, I think there's taboos to be broken everywhere. There's still discrimination happening in so many ways for so many people, not just in that, not just in terms of sexuality. So I still think we have a long way to go. I mean, the nice thing, to bring it back to that, is we have marriage equality, so that is an amazing, change from 1973. But yeah, no, there's still a long way to go.
Yeah, it really is against the backdrop of tennis. Certainly when we were making it, we knew we were making a movie about tennis. That was very apparent. Everybody was dressed in tennis outfits. And in the grander scale of things, Billie Jean's message is, she uses tennis as a platform for social change. That's what she's always said. So the movie is about equality. It's about, having equality no matter what sexuality you are. It's about equal pay. It's something that I deal with all the time, every week in my industry. And it's sadly relevant.
Well, what's extraordinary is all the issues that seemed burning then are even more alight now. The whole business of sexual equality, about equal pay, that started the whole battle of the sexes off, because women were being paid an eighth of the prize money of men at the time. And Billie Jean just said, enough. This is not right. That's not respectful. And those issues are alive now as they were then. The one thing that's moved on is the sexuality debate. Back then, Billie Jean society would not let her be gay. That simply wasn't allowed. Now that's not an issue. But all the other debates about how women are treated and how they're respected, man, that debate is alive and kicking.
I think it's the complexity in both. So they became spokespeople for opposite sides of a very binary argument. And yet, their own stories were much more complicated than that. Billie was the best tennis player in the world. She was a vocal advocate for women's rights, but she couldn't at that time speak for her sexuality, even though she could speak for her sex. So there was a fascinating inherent conflict there for us to explore. And Bobby, poster boy for chauvinism on the surface of things, but actually a great sporting champion in his own right, in his day. And he wasn't a chauvinist. He was looking for a way back into the limelight and stumbled upon this idea. So I think what attracted us was that it wasn't a simple story of good Billie versus bad Bobby, that there was more tension and drama for us to explore in telling the story, and that's what drew us to it.
It's an astonishing cast. Can you talk, I guess, before you leave us, just quickly about the qualities that Emma and Steve have that make them such a perfect fit for these characters?
Well, I think in answer to the Emma question, the movie is set in the past, but it feels very urgent in the present tense, and she is the driver of that. She is our most contemporary actress, and she felt like a brilliant choice to play a woman ahead of her time. And in Steve's case, he found something in Bobby beyond the clown that Bobby was playing. So he's found some dignity and integrity in the character, which I think is immensely moving, and it's a wonderful performance from him.
To have Simon Beaufoy, Academy Award writer, the directors, Jonathan Dayton and Valerie Ferris, and also all the people, the producers, Danny Boyle, Christian Colson, Robert Groff. It's like having the pros do it, and they're the best in the world, so I got really fortunate, but I am so blessed and so overwhelmed with this happening. You never think as a child when you want to be the #1 tennis player in the world that they're going to do a movie later and have the #1 actress in the world play you, Emma Stone. She won everything. She won the BAFTA, she won SAG, she won Golden Globe, she won the Academy Award last year. So to have Emma Stone play me was beyond surreal. Every time I see it, I go, that's not real, that's not real. Is it, is it? But the great thing is I hope that the young people, particularly the millennials and the Gen Zs, will take up the mantle and fight for freedom and equality, and also for the LGBTQ plus community. I hope it helps somebody be more comfortable in their own skin. I hope it allows others to understand better, so it's not such a big unknown. And also to remind people how tough it was in the 70s, but think about how much tougher it was for people before me in my generation. So I'm very indebted to the shoulders I stand on.
The battle of the sexes rage on. Do you think that there's still a lot of issues?
Everything in battle of the sexes. I think about people working together, but I want equality for all, and women are still behind.